Today, I'm very happy to introduce Dr. Jyothi Raghuram. Dr. Jyothi is a pediatrician who is specialized in pediatric rheumatology, almost 2 decades of experience as a pediatrician. Her special interest in rheumatology led her to do the certification from European League in Rheumatology in pediatric rheumatology and trained in Bristol, UK as an observer in 2016. Currently, she is practicing here in Bangalore. She has done a lot of great stuff with kids, children, and the parents. The life of a parent majorly depending on the well-being of the kids. So Dr. Jyothi has been doing awesome job over there. The service mentality of Dr. Jyothi doesn't stop at serving her patients and the families. She has also been doing honorary work at a pediatric rheumatology clinic at a territory level government hospital once a week, where she is treating underprivileged children free of cost. The speciality of Dr. Jyothi doesn't stop in here. She has been a continuous learner, top scorer in general medicine. She has also presented scientific posters and oral papers at numerous conferences. She has won prize for best oral paper at National Conference of Pediatric Rheumatology in 2022. She has around 8 publications in indexed journals and has contributed to chapters in pediatrics and pediatric rheumatology textbooks. A life member of Indian Academy of Pediatrics, a life member of Indian Rheumatology Association, executive member of Pediatric Rheumatology Society, and executive member of Indian Society of Kawasaki Disease. Welcome, Dr. Jyothi. Dr. Jyothi, thank you so much for agreeing to being here with us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Definitely. Because, specifically to specific, I really don't want to call it as a job, right? 2 different set of people, my respect is always way too high from my childhood. One is you, doctors, right? Then army men, people in army, defense, in that space. And especially, when we are talking about stress and all of this stuff, kind of that word, I think we got introduced to that word stress when IT industry started in India, maybe for the past 30 years, where everybody, like, even children use these words, stress, depression and all, even children, they have started using. But
very true, yeah.
These 2 spaces, right? People in, doctors, people who are in care, like that front line, as well, people from defense army, stress has been a part of your DNA from the first day, probably when you start studying.
Yeah. Right. Even when we are preparing to get into that. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's where it starts, and then it continues. There is no end to that stress, right?
Correct.
So that always, brings in some, the respect is the word that I would like to use here, right? Super. Dr. Jyothi, something about your journey, how did it start? Why medicine? Why doctor?
Yeah, I guess it was always something that I wanted to be. And I think it just happened that I never thought of anything else. And I prepared for this. And although knowing how difficult it is to get a merit seat in medicine, parents would always keep advising that try, but don't be disappointed if you don't get it. Keep engineering as an option and all that. But it was, my mother also who encouraged me to do medicine. And it was, I felt a calling for me also. And by nature, I am a very, what do you say, not a very aggressive personality. I'm a very soft spoken and very maybe docile in the beginning, as a child, and a patient person. So that's a strength. So I felt that, this would be my calling. And I do like to serve the people, the society, and I get a sense of satisfaction when somebody, we treat, they do well, and then they give us they feel gratitude towards us. So there's nothing bigger than that. So, and I was always a good student. So I felt that I would be able to crack the entrance exam and get do medicine. So that was one thing. Then when I did actually join medicine, it was tough in the beginning, because even though you're a good student, you're amongst the the brightest in the class, and still you have find it very difficult, because it's a very steep learning curve. We are thrown into right from the first year, thrown into subjects with huge books and with a lot of learning, and you have to spend hours cramming all that. And also you're faced with cadavers in the anatomy hall, and there are so many subjects that you need to learn and everything. But it was a very interesting learning curve as well. And then after that, post graduation was almost the norm, so there was no doubt that we needed to do post graduation. And again, for me, I felt that I was cut out to be a pediatrician, because although I got a seat in obstetrics and gynecology, within 3 months I decided that no, this is not for me. And then I think some influencers in the final year of MBBS, where you look up to, you revere some teachers, they make you feel more inclined to pursue one branch of specialization. And what you feel, pediatrics is also considered by many as an end specialty, as in after general medicine one needs to specialize further, cardiology, neurology, or gastroenterology, whereas pediatrics many consider to be an end specialty, where you can practice as a pediatrician and you don't need to specialize further. But that is not really the way it is now, because every subspecialty that's there in medicine is also there in pediatrics, and we do need to pursue something as a subspecialty interest. But at that time we thought that maybe we could settle down more quickly when we did pediatrics, because medicine itself is such a long haul, 4.5 years, then 1 year of internship, then you prepare for post graduation 1 year, sometimes it takes 2 years, and then you do post graduation of 3 years. So that was like, okay, enough studying now, let's get into the real this thing, where work and where we earn. Although once you're a resident in post graduation, you are mostly working in the hospital, and you're studying only part of the time. So you have to prepare for your entrance exams, but it's not like you're a student sitting in a hall and listening to lectures the whole time. Most of the work is clinical work in the hospital, if you are in a clinical specialty, that is. And then, so after post graduation, it was, I worked in very good hospitals in Bombay. So that way I had the what a privilege of learning from very good teachers, from and had some excellent worked in some very good renowned hospitals in Mumbai. And this was in 2000 to 2004. And then we did spend 3 more years in Bombay. By that time I was married, and my husband was pursuing his super specialization in neurosurgery. So anyways, I did gain more work experience in Vadia Hospital in Bombay, BJ Vadia Children's Hospital. And then we decided to come back. Both of us are from Bangalore, and we always wanted to come back. So in 2008 or so, we came back, and then I took a short break, maternity break, but then got back to working within just about when my son was, I think, 9 to 10 months or so. And in fact, when he was 4 or 5 months, I started with a small clinic of my own. But I was not patient enough to wait for that to pick up. And so I wanted to work, because always having been in a hospital setting, I joined Manipal Hospital and the NICU, and that was a challenging phase, because son was young, and then as a new mom, you go through so many, emotions, and so many, what do you say, the difficulties yourself. And then you move to back to a place. Although it's our city, this is where I grew up, this is where I studied, I didn't have any contacts with pediatricians, because all my post graduation was in Bombay. So I had to start making contacts and getting back to work. And then it was hectic with night duties, 12-hour shifts, 8 to 8. So where we lived at that time in East Bangalore, Manipal Hospital was the closest. So my husband encouraged me, stick it out, don't quit, wait, things will be okay. And somehow I did stick it out. But then I decided that I don't want to do neonatology or newborn ICU, newborn care, ICU care for the rest of my life because that's too intensive. And he was also in an intensive specialty like neurosurgery. So I always wanted to get back to pediatrics and not just the intensive care. So then I spent some time with a senior pediatrician in his clinic, got back to general pediatrics. And there was a new hospital which had just opened in Marathali, Yeshomati Hospital. So that's where I joined and started my career as a consultant. I was in Columbia, Asia for almost 2014 to 2020. And this presently I'm working in Astor Hospital, which is a similar corporate to other hospitals, but they approached me actually, even though I passed by that street almost every day. I had not even seen the place coming up, and they asked me if I wanted to move. And the very enticing part was that it was just about a kilometer from where I live now. So after having commuted for so many years in Bangalore and going through the stress of having to reach in time just before a delivery was going to happen and everything, even though I was out of the intensive care, I was like, okay, it's the best thing that can happen. So by now I was, had a fairly well-established practice in this area. And I was pursuing a subspecialty in pediatrics called pediatric rheumatology. So this deals with actually autoimmune diseases in children. Like arthritis can occur even in children. Autoimmune diseases do occur even in children. So this is one of the newer specialties in pediatrics, maybe now about a decade or more or so, although in the West it has been there for longer. Okay, so I was exposed to this specialty because one of our consultants way back in 2002-3 had gone to UK, got some training, and he had started this specialty in Mumbai. So we saw the way he was treating the children, and that was very fascinating. And even though I wanted to do this, there were very few opportunities for doing a fellowship. For one, it was not there in Bangalore. It was there only in Mumbai, or not even in Mumbai, only Delhi, or one had to go abroad at that time. So having just had a baby, my husband was still he had just completed his super specialization. We were both young, trying to establish ourselves in our careers. So I did not want to leave my child behind and go for a specialty training again at that point. But then I think the universe has a way of making you achieve what you want if you want it that badly. So in 2012 I did a basic training course in Bombay, where the very consultant who had started it had a very intensive course kind of thing in pediatric rheumatology. And then I found a senior colleague here in Bangalore who was pursuing that and who started a pediatric rheumatology clinic in Bangalore itself, in a government hospital, Indira Gandhi Institute of Child Health. And from 2014-15, he said, why don't you start coming over there and seeing the patients and helping me out? And we can do things, together. So initially, I was as an apprentice, learning and then discussing the cases with him. And gradually, I did become more of an associate and started seeing the patients independently. And way back in 2016, much before COVID, there was an online course conducted by the European Union League Against Rheumatism, EULAR it's called. So it was a pediatric rheumatology course for pediatricians who are trained in this specialty. So it was a 1-year course with the modules, and you had to give an exam at the end of it. So I just did that, and I felt that, okay, I'm now certified to practice this. And the practical experience I was getting from Indira Gandhi Institute. So just stuck to it, and somehow now it's like been going on for all these years. So the satisfaction of treating these underprivileged children at Indira Gandhi Institute is far more than what I have gained academic-wise. So what happens to us doctors especially is we are more clinicians. So we are always seeing patients, and we are doing the clinical work day in and day out. So if there are some who opt to be in medical colleges as teachers. So for them, academics becomes the forefront because they are teaching medical students, they are teaching postgraduates. But for us who choose to be in clinical practice, it's very difficult to keep up with the latest trends, to keep, find teaching opportunities. of course, all corporates have nowadays DNB and teaching courses, but we also have to see the interesting and the rare cases for us to be academically sound also. We need to have spend time reading and then publishing, writing up and publishing articles in journals, so that we have that standing also in the academic part of the medical profession. So that is hard for women to do, considering that first of all we have to balance our work and our home, and anything else is taken as no, oh, why do you want to do it? It's why are you going as an honorary when you're not getting paid, or you're not getting anything out of it? So this will only pay returns in the long run. So it's not in a short term, it seems like something that you're neglecting your family or your work and you're going for it. But I believe that it has helped me a lot to get an edge over other pediatricians. It has given me immense satisfaction in treating these children, almost like it's literally free of cost. They pay 10 rupees as registration to the hospital. It's a government hospital. And we have a lot of children who come there who have been following up for years. So although I'm not the primary consultant over there, I'm very much a part of that rheumatology clinic. And in my hospitals here, in my own private practice, I see both general pediatrics and pediatric rheumatology patients. And that is something that I'm slowly trying to lean and trying to increase the pediatric rheumatology patients that I see. So general pediatrics I love to do still, because these are the families with whom you build a rapport over time, and they feel happy when they see you and when you reassure them that things are well and what they need to do. Because usually general pediatrics is acute illnesses or well visits when they come for vaccinations. But you see, you are very much a part of their baby's journey. Absolutely. So you become close to the families, and the parents are, so that's one thing.
As a mom, I can easily relate to what you are saying, because we kind of feel very comfortable when we know that, okay, our doctor is there, right?
True.
He or she is available, irrespective of the educational qualification or experience. That is something, the special bonding that happens with the doctors, especially when it comes to our kids, right?
Yeah, very true. And I'm very grateful to all the parents who have established the trust and faith, in me or in any pediatrician I might say, or any doctor for that matter. It's important that we build that rapport, we communicate, and they also reciprocate in that way. So, absolutely. Fascinating
journey, Dr. Jyothi. What exactly stood out for me is this Ubuntu principle that I'm very closely associated with. I am because we are.
True.
Yeah. So that is clearly visible in the way that you have shared. From the beginning, till now, you didn't leave any stone untouched. You were bringing in all the probably it could be fellow students or the professors, your teachers during your the training days, the studying days, the academia part of the space, right? And then you are bringing in your family, like how your husband is supporting you, how you are supporting. It's kind of complementing each other's career growth, right? It's not about who is doing more or who is doing less. It's more of that's what I'm seeing here, right?
I think at any point,
the universe, universe again. Then he said, what? Universe knows better than what I know. That is another element. Beautifully, you brought that up. The gratitude. I think gratitude is the fundamental, the foundation, which is kind of has guided you all through your journey so far. And there is third element which is clearly seen for me. Especially as a coach, I'm able to quickly pick that up. Is clarity, right? Every step you were clear about. What? See, this is what I'm good at. Let me do this. Maybe you would have tried something sometime, then quickly you come back, what, let me take this path because this is who I am, right? So understanding you and then creating or designing that for yourself. Where is it coming from, Dr. Jyothi?
Maybe in hindsight now it seems clear, but at every point, yeah, there were doubts and there were, yeah, when you feel you're doing the right thing or not. But I guess just being there, showing up at work, doing the thing you know best, and continuing to stick at it. Like, for example, this. Even being getting to work at 8:30 or 9 in the morning with a 45-minute or 50-minute commute from where I used to live before was difficult, and I had just learned to drive and everything. So just it was support from parents, from everyone, that no, just be calm and continue, don't worry. That was one thing. Then secondly, the I decided that actually I grew up in a joint family and my mother was working, so I was my aunts were at home, and somehow I never felt any difficulty in adjusting to a joint family with in-laws. And I never let my I think ego or my professional choices hinder that I see many times. The young girls are very much, sometimes they're prejudiced. They feel that if we stay with in-laws, we are not able to do what we want, or that freedom is not there. But I felt that I think, I mean, this is natural, and I was able to adjust, and they have been a big source of support actually in helping me bring up my child, and also in career choices, and allowing me to work, and also this thing pursue my special interest. So that way, that has been one support, and I'm very thankful for that. And then I had good teachers, good mentors, I think both in Bombay and even here in Bangalore. So I always looked up to them and imbibed, I think, subconsciously what I wanted to be like. So that is one thing. Hard work, yes, and some amount of the passion. Definitely the passion is very important, because only when you're passionate about something, you're willing to put in that hard work and not shirk your responsibilities. And stress has always been there, but so learning to cope with stress. I was fortunate to have learned yoga way back in my first PUC, second PUC days. And although there have been, it's always been an up and down thing. I've never been like, I can't say I do it every day, but I never let go of it. So I fall back on it whenever I feel stressed. And yeah, clarity, when you look back, you feel that yes, it has been very, that clarity of thought. I must say that there were moments when I felt that, if what I'm doing is right. But I guess what was the driving force for me was not how much I would earn, or my status in society, or comparison with others. That was something I never did. I just wanted to follow what was important to me, and what what was the driving force for me, what made me click. So something like Sherlock Holmes. I feel I'm good at diagnosing difficult cases, and at treating these children and following them up with chronic illnesses. So that gives a sense of satisfaction. So it was always that job satisfaction, and being able to serve and give back, which was the driving force. Absolutely. Along with that, yes, money is important, income is important. We want to have a good home, a reasonable source of income, provide all the comforts that one wants to give for their children. But that happens automatically, I feel. So that's, if you're going with only that in mind, then you're confused and you're not able to follow what path you want to follow. So those values, I guess, gave me that clarity. So coming,
so beautifully. Currently, I'm reading Bhagavad Gita a little in the deeper side, along with a couple of my fellow coaches, right? So whatever you have been sharing, kind of I'm able to resonate so well with certain verses that I have been right now trying to understand. It's beyond my this thing. In one of the shlokas, I think in the 6th chapter, it says you don't even get attached to the sankalpa, the goal, right? See, it starts with, okay, you do your karma yoga, no? You do your job, don't worry about the outcome, don't get yourself attached with the outcome. But when I was like reading that, it took some time before I could kind of understand what exactly Gita is telling me. right?
Right.
Now that I'm listening to you, it's of course, money is important, comfort is important. The way that we have been living, that, that minimum, whether we call it as minimalistic or maximalistic, that comfort
Yeah.
is important. Without that,
Yeah.
it is going to be a struggle for us. Everything is important,
True.
but to what extent, right?
Yeah.
What are we leaving behind to get this comfort, right? Are we
True.
compromising on the values or the value system that we are all part of, especially in India? See, we are all blessed that way, right?
Yeah.
Our generation, especially, our the value system, the family
True.
system that we were part of, right?
Very much.
That
Yeah.
created a strong foundation for us to, I think, come out
Yeah.
of all the adversities.
Yeah. Definitely.
So,
We fall back on them for support, and they are there for us, and we are there for them.
absolutely.
My father-in-law passed away recently in
Okay.
2021,
Hmm.
but we took care of him. Although he was very healthy, for 2.5, 3 years, he was unwell with a stroke and almost bedridden.
Hmm.
So every day, my husband would bathe him, everything, take care. Until the last few days, we didn't really need any assistance. So
Absolutely.
that way, it is both ways.
Absolutely.
So mutually, and I think those values that we care for our parents, and we are part of a society, a family,
Hmm.
and not being self-centered. I think all those really
Very true.
is matters.
True. And then, as
True.
I was listening to you, that adverse scenario, like, now that you mentioned about your father-in-law, how you were taking care of him without any support, right? It's
Right.
not easy. Being a doctor doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you can take care of somebody
Yeah.
where you have that emotional connect, right?
Yeah.
It's not that. And then when I was listening to that adverse scenario, immediately my mind went back to 2 years. That period, pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was that for you, Dr. Jyoti? How did you
That
handle
was an
your
entirely,
emotions, your stress?
yeah. It was an entirely different experience. We were all
Yeah.
like, thrown into it without any preparation, without any precedence. We
Mm,
didn't know anything like this. In a century, it had not happened.
mm,
And so it was like we had to literally step into it without knowing anything.
mm,
In case the hospitals were supportive, they provided PPE, there was
mm,
information overload from all over, and fear was there.
mm,
More so, the fear of passing on the infection to our loved ones at
mm,
home,
mm,
and the fear that you're a frontline worker. We had to
mm,
keep reassuring our families that it's okay, we are all protected, don't worry.
mm,
But every day, every minute, I think my mother would worry, and she would keep on asking. But it was something we saw everybody doing it, right? Nurses more than us. We used to just walk into the
mm,
wards and give our see the patient and come out, and then we could take off the PPE. But we were in the PPE in the OPD, outpatient department, the whole time. 8 hours to sit in the PPE was very
mm,
difficult.
mm,
And but then we felt safe because we had all the PPE,
mm,
at least. Okay. The fear when you come back home is that what if you've got something and we pass it on to our loved ones? And we try our best to sanitize and to keep ourselves safe. That is one thing.
mm,
Uh, and then when you see the patients, for us, luckily in pediatrics, we didn't have that much of mortality, or we didn't see even that many children getting admitted, because children somehow were protected, or at least they had some cross protection from other coronaviruses,
mm,
whereas it was the middle age, the elderly, who were really affected. In the second wave especially, we saw the overburdening of the hospitals, of the nurses, of no availability of beds, trying desperately to get a bed for any of family members or friends or any acquaintance who needed one, and the helplessness of just watching some people slip away.
mm,
That we will never forget. That agony, that helplessness,
mm,
not being able to do anything at all.
mm,
That is something which was, very very difficult to go through.
mm,
So for my husband also, because he was a surgeon, he
mm,
was not in the front line so much. But
mm.
yes, they also had to put in duties. They
Absolutely.
had to work with PPE in hospital for surgeries, which was even more difficult.
Mm,
But we saw our general medicine physicians
mm,
working overtime, nurses
mm,
leaving behind their families, staying in hospitals itself, not going home.
mm,
So the entire medical community. And we saw our own colleagues
mm,
who succumbed to
mm.
the virus
Yeah.
while trying to save others from the virus. So ICU doctors and cardiologists, so many people, and physicians, sometimes leaving behind young children, they lost their lives. I have also been very, very, what has impacted me a lot is when I see some of my patients who have come back after a gap of 2 years when they had been to their hometowns and recount their stories. Some children have lost a parent. They are just 8, 9 years old. They have lost a parent. And some have, many had actually lost jobs. Many were in dire straits. So when you listen to all that, you feel thankful for having come out of this, I wouldn't say unscarred, but at least unscathed and alive. The fact that we are alive, the fact that our loved ones, immediate loved ones at least, have not had a difficult time, and just plain gratitude to God. That's all. So, but we will never forget those months, those years, 2 years. The second wave, especially, was very horrifying. Yeah.
I very well remember when I brought my son to you, right? Looking at you with that PP kit and all, we were in fact, for 30 minutes or something, we were talking about that. How come somebody, end of the day, we are all human beings, right? Like me, you also have the same limbs and, skin and everything. For a few minutes, wearing that mask was a, difficult task for me. But wearing that PPE kit and then, being there in the hospital 12 hours, 8 hours, it was not a joke.
Yeah.
Right? We were in fact talking about it.
It becomes second skin, because you feel protected. Now, even though we are way past the pandemic, still we feel safe with the mask on, because as pediatricians, we're always exposed to children with cold coughs more than general medicine physicians.
That's true.
So we feel a bit safer now. I think the mask culture is something that we have imbibed after the pandemic.
Absolutely.
At least in the outpatient clinic, we do wear it mostly. Not the N95, but just the simple mask. But there was a lot of fear, and it was something entirely unprecedented. And all of us who have gone through it together only know what we have gone through. Memory is short. Once you're over it, once it's been 1 or 2 years, we do tend to forget some of the difficulties. But yeah, vaccines were very important. We were so grateful that our government got at least Covishield, Covaxin within a matter of months. 1 year we got the first dose. That made us feel more immune.
Yeah. So as I was listening to the pandemic stories, Dr. Jyothi, as I mentioned, I launched this Nishta, with an intention to demystify leadership. Since I am working with C, D, E suite leaders in all across industries, definition for leadership differ for different industry, differ for different people, right? But as we all have gone through this pandemic, especially, the definition has totally gone somewhere else, right? So what I would like to understand is your definition of leadership. How do you see leadership?
Yeah, so I think if one can actually inspire others, to dream more, to do more, to actually, become more than what they are at their present level, then you are a leader. And I think if it is, I don't know if I have been a leader in the actual sense, because although we work as a team in hospitals, we are all individual clinicians and doing our work. But I would like to believe that I have been a role model to some of my juniors, at least, and by teaching them showing them the right way to practice, the right way to communicate with patients, the importance of giving your time to listen to the patient's history, to do a thorough physical examination, spend time with the patient, and to communicate whatever is your thought to the patient, document it carefully, be meticulous in what you do, and also be ready to learn from your mistakes, be ready to always imbibe something, what you feel is good in the other person, and to go back to the drawing board and read or look up something if you feel that you're missing something, and then work as a team, collaborate. So these are all things which just by doing, I hope that juniors have observed, and the many have been vocal in their thanks. But some might just feel that, okay, this is how we should be, because this is how we observed and learned from our teachers and role models. So that would mean, leadership to me.
See that humble, being humble, being grounded. It's again, if you look at it, it's a part of our, culture, and then the values that we have learned from our elders. Yeah. So likewise, also you mentioned something which I kind of picked it really, really well for, especially for women who are out there in whatever journey that they are having in their leadership, path. Show up more, and don't settle for small. So you, when you mentioned that, do more, show up more, right? And then now you mentioned about play big, play big. Yeah, we don't have to act small. Yeah, we don't have to do small.
True.
Right?
True.
Whether we are talking about ourselves or not, that is a different thing. But it's very important that we do big things. We do big.
True. So, and I think it's important to assert also and to show what you have done in a positive way. Absolutely. And to actually take credit for it, not be afraid of taking credit for it. Absolutely. And just not to shy away and just be in the background thinking, although work is important, but it's also important that everyone knows about it. Like I told you, I'm not very active on social media, but I do what is required for the hospitals' websites or the blogs, or I write articles for the referral doctors' magazines on difficult cases that we have treated and everything. Because at one point of time, social media was becoming overwhelming and I was finding difficult to manage time. But I now realize that it is important to also use it as an effective tool to show the others what you have been doing and what you're capable of, and also to improve your growth opportunities and to provide your services. There may be people who need the services but who are not aware of where it's available. So that way, yes, it's important to use social media effectively.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing right now from you, Dr. Jyothi, it's about balancing act as well integrating what is important. Right? Sure. You cannot just sit back saying that, what, let me balance my life, and then miss out to integrate, which is very, very important. As you rightly mentioned, it may be overwhelming for, especially for doctors. Your time is already taken by all of us. Right? All the stakeholders, you're all taking your waking hours, and rest of the hours, whatever you have for you to sleep, take care of yourself, you have to allocate that for social media and then doing other activities, right? So how you have done it so beautifully, like, what is needed, you do that. Identify that, you do that. Show up wherever it is necessary. At the same time, balance everything it out. Yeah, that's how I am interpreting what you said, Dr. Jyothi.
I think you do interpret it rightly and better than what I could put it.
Okay, thank you for saying that. Okay, so we have spoken a lot of serious stuff. Yeah. Something fun. Yeah. So, what is the fun side of Dr. Jyothi?
I spend a lot of, I believe in quality family time, and we go out and we will love to watch good movies and just relax or do some shopping or spend time with family. We have large extended families, so we have a lot of get-togethers with families and friends. So that way, that is my fun time also. But the fun side of me, I have kind of a maybe sometimes a humorous personality. So I do see the funny side of things.
Okay.
And, that way it is. I dabble a bit in poetry. During the pandemic, I found some time to delve into that part of me, and I used to write some poems for everyone on their birthdays or special occasions, and put it in a verse, in a poetry form or a limerick when I wanted to wish them or say something. So that was appreciated, and I take a lot of pleasure in doing that. And I used to learn dance in my childhood, but then never pursued it properly after joining MBBS. So, but I always loved to, just shake a leg with friends, and listen to, good music. And I guess, that is about it. we enjoy traveling. My husband and I, we both enjoy traveling a lot. And we used to take short breaks, 2, 3 day breaks whenever possible when my son was small. Now his schedule is more hectic than ours. So we have to take a
I
bit of
know.
so a little bit whenever it's possible, we do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that way, I've never been much of a pub hopping or a party kind of a person. But
Okay.
I do learn to that sometimes to be with friends and have a good time. It's essential to just show up and be and just show them that you're there for their happy events too.
Yeah.
So I do go there,
That's
and yeah, I guess this is it. I communicate a lot with my the family, and both my husband and son being the male gender, they're not so talkative as me.
okay.
I fall back on friends or my mother with whom I have a 5 minute chat every day in the morning and
Okay.
evening before my day is done.
Uh,
I read a lot. I love to read. So that's my pastime or my
okay.
stress break whether it's on the phone nowadays or iPad more than a hardbound book. But I get a lot of pleasure from reading.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, are we to expect any book from Dr. Jyothi on her poems?
I wish, but for that, I think I need the kind of little bit time that we got during the pandemic. Although we don't want another pandemic for that, so
Absolutely,
we'll
absolutely.
have to. I should start compiling them. Yeah.
Oh, my best wishes, and then I would be the first person to order my copy because I love
Thank you.
reading. Yeah,
Thank you.
so I love
Yeah.
reading definitely. Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful. Also, my best wishes for you to pursue your dance because I can relate to that because I always wanted to learn Bharatanatyam. But the town that I grew up, it was a very small town, so we didn't really have any guru or something, and it was not enough space. I would say I cannot blame anything else, but the situation was not really encouraging for me to join a class and learn it properly. But
Right.
that is something that I fulfilled recently. I mean, before pandemic, in my apartment itself, we called a teacher from her. We couple of us ladies, we all learned Kathak. We also did
Wow.
a couple of performances here and there. So that kind of fulfilled my wish to
Yeah.
learn dance in a
Yeah.
proper way,
Dance.
from a proper
I know.
guru, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's wonderful. There's no age bar for
yeah,
certain
yeah,
things.
yeah,
So it's all in
completely.
our mind, and we have to overcome that barrier.
Absolutely, absolutely, very true. That is something that I proudly share with everybody. After hitting
Right.
40, I learned to do that, and after hitting 45, I started learning badminton. Now I'm playing really well. So
Wow, you
know,
are an inspiration. I,
when we are put in that adverse scenario, how we come out of it because of some leadership traits that we have inbuilt. It could be a part of our DNA or we observed it from our environment. Everybody,
yeah,
every day, we are showing some leadership, trait
true.
or another.
Somewhere, sometime that inner strength comes, and you have to overcome that, and that is what teaches you and puts you on a higher scale, and then
Absolutely.
you have to just take it from there, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and I think learning and leadership are indispensable.
Mm.
That would be something that I would
Mm.
really advise someone junior, because keep learning, keep upskilling,
Mm.
keep never be afraid to learn a new thing or
Mm.
to admit that you don't know and again go back and learn. So that way, in our field at least, where there's always new data emerging, new technologies. Now, when pandemic, we had to adapt to teleconsultations,
Yes,
so
yes.
which we were not doing on a routine basis till
Absolutely.
then. And
Mm.
then you had to literally give medicines based on only the history and with limited examination that you could do on teleconsultation. You can ask
Absolutely.
the parents to show the child. You can check whether the child is dehydrated, show the tongue, see the throat. Beyond that, you can't really examine much.
Yeah.
So if we
That's
keep
true.
know this child is sick, needs to be brought into hospital, we do tell
Mm.
them. But
Mm.
otherwise, we could, we realized that we didn't have to literally see in hospital each and every child, and we could do a
Mm.
lot of remote
Yes,
consultations, and
yes.
that has continued beyond the pandemic.
Yeah, that's true.
So that way, it has
Very
helped people in rural areas and everything to reach out to us and get treatment.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, it was
Fantastic.
difficult, but we adapted to that, and that has proved to be a boon. Sometimes
Absolutely.
when you not able to be physically present, you can still go ahead with teleconsult.
Very true. Very true. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Jyothi. This has been
Thank
a
you.
pleasure, and I cherished this conversation that we had.
Same here,
Look forward to,
because
yes, yeah,
same here,
yeah.
because it was very kind of you to offer me to be on this platform. And it has, taught me also so many things about myself. I learned a lot just listening to you put things in perspective when I was struggling for words. And it has been a very enriching experience. Thank you.